we have all been in a position where we wanted to like quit our jobs, right?
Yeah, I got a story.
And sometimes we, you know, just keep going, waking up and taking it day after day. And then sometimes we actually take the leap and make it out on our own. So I'm just excited to have my friend and business partner and all things, you know, just community here, Alexis, and she's going to talk to us about just her journey as an entrepreneur, as a careerpreneur, and then also just as the entrepreneur by itself. So all the wealth of knowledge that she has and experiences that she has, and we can relate to on so many levels. And you know, I'm excited for you to give us some advice too. How to get where you at.
We're trying to be like you when we grow up. Please.
Yes. So welcome.
Thank you, ladies, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and of course, it's my girl. We have been through this journey. I feel like she took it with me. But I'm here and full-time entrepreneurship, and I believe next month, May 15th will actually be 1 year where I left the federal government.
Yes.
And I decided
basically
DEUCES and get into full-time entrepreneurship. So my journey, I started my business actually in college. I had no aspirations of really being an entrepreneur. It just kind of happened. I met a friend at that time, and his thing was, I'm gonna show you how to become a millionaire. And I was like, okay. And I was actually in school studying biology.
Me too,
believe it or not. And that organic chemistry just
took you out. That's where it all changed for me too.
That's where it's like the wake up call.
Yes.
And you know, so I started looking at other opportunities, and it was really too late in my school journey to switch. So it's like, you just gotta make it through. You gotta make it happen. And so I connected with this friend, and he exposed me to taxes. And it wasn't anything new. Growing up, my father always did taxes. He had the books, you go to the library, you get the schedules and everything. The whole dining room table was just filled with everything for tax season. And I was familiar with it. He would do friends, family, and all of that stuff, but it wasn't a business. And growing up, we learned at the school that we go to, we learned taxes and the importance of it. So when this opportunity came to me, I took a class. I like shut all my friends off because we used to go hang out all the time. And I was like, I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna learn it. And bam, I did. I passed the course, and I opened up my first office in November of 2004. And since then, I've been rocking and rolling. And it's so funny, as we're wrapping up, I think this is my 18th tax season, April 18th. It's like I see the journey. But into the journey, I decided, you know, you go to college, you get these degrees, you spend all this money, and it's embedded in you, like, you got to go get a job.
Absolutely. Yes.
And so
pay for this debt.
Business, and I was like, well, I got to go get a job. So I got on with FEMA as a contractor, and that's how I got my segue into the federal government as a contractor. And I stayed there for about 3 years in that role, and it was crazy. I was on the readiness staff. I got a paycheck every week, whether I work or not. So I still got the freedom to, hey, do what I want to do. But when you got that phone call, like, it's a disaster coming, you got to go, I would have to shift gears. So I did that for a while. And then I really liked the travel, and I liked how tax season was January through April. And so June through the rest of the year, I kind of was like, I gotta figure out something to do.
Right.
And I wasn't really set up there, or didn't know how to be set up to like make the business generate income throughout the year. It was just tax season only. So fast forward, took a job at the federal government, and this is how I connected with Fatima, because I would travel to different spaces. I would manage disaster funding and grants for billions and billions of dollars of funding. And I would travel to make sure that the projects and the program areas and different things were being accountable for the federal monies that were awarded to them. So I did that. And as I grew, I still maintained my business, but I didn't really grow it. It was more of, I got my job, good paying job, and I got tax season, and this is free money.
Right, that's right, right.
And I played hard. I did. But as I started growing and I got married and I had a baby, 1 and maybe 2 came, and then 3 came, and the job became full-time travel, and it stopped my growth. And it was almost like they were doing me a favor by allowing me to stay and work there. They would always say, oh, well, you know, you can't travel, so we can't give you this job promotion that's coming up. And it was like dangling that little carrot over there. And then I just started, I was like, okay, well, I started developing curriculum and writing like classes and courses that got approved, and they would get contractors to come on and make it compliant. And one of my courses actually got selected to be a part of the Federal Institute, which is in Gettysburg, Maryland. And it's now a standardized course. And I wrote it from scratch to finish. I'm like, hey, I'm sitting here doing this. And I asked for a raise, and they said, oh, we think you're good. They gave me $1,000 bonus. And I was like, oh,
yeah, I know about no raises, but bonuses.
Yeah, that's not sustainable.
The audacity.
Right.
Yeah. So I was like, wait a minute. These people getting a contract, and I'm sure they got way more than $1,000. And I did all the footwork, and I'm meeting with them weekly to kind of structure the course. And I'm like, I'm certified as a woman small business, and I had all the credentials to do that. And I'm like, why am I pigeonholing myself in this box? One, it was comfort. I got my paycheck every 2 weeks.
Yes.
It was good. I worked 40 hours a week, or I was on the clock for 40 hours a week. I knew my check was coming. And I started questioning, like, what would it look like to leave the federal government, that good government job, and go and just be a full-time entrepreneur? And I got a coach, and she asked me, her one question was, what is holding you back? And I said, the medical.
Yes,
So we started looking at the business and the numbers and the clients, and she was like, you know, you pretty much make what you make at the federal government. It's just, what are you doing with the money? And I had to start having those serious conversations with myself and really bringing things into perspective. And the one kicker for me was I had to leave my baby girl. It was a disaster. And it wasn't Sandy. I was there in New York for a year, Times Square. But this was Puerto Rico, Maria. And they had it was crazy. I had to literally get on a military plane to get there. I had to take my own luggage off the plane. I had to sleep on a Navy ship that looked like it was built in 1940. And it was just an experience. And I was like, wow, but I had to leave my baby. And they told me this is a great opportunity. You're going to have this high FCO position. You're going to go position. You're going to go there. You're going to manage. You're going to run a team, and they would pump me up. And I was like, I gotta go.
They sold the dream.
They sold me a dream, and little did I know, I just found out I was expecting during that time as well. And my husband was like, "You can't go." And I was like, "I gotta go. This is going to really help my career." And I went. And he said to me, "You better bring my baby back." I said, "Okay, I'm coming. We're gonna be good." I'm going. And I went, and the experience was good. But when I got there, I was told, "Oh, you're not a real CFO. We just said that to get you here." And I was like,
"Did they actually?"
Yes, actually said that. They would have meetings, like huddles every day. And it came to the point where all the real CFOs come to the meeting, and I'm sitting right there. "Oh, Alexis, you're not invited to this meeting."
OMG.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, here I am making this sacrifice to be here. For one, I left my family. I'm a mom. My daughter was like maybe 1 or 2 at the time. I'm expecting. I'm here trying to rise in rank. And I'm being like, almost like, control. And I was like, I'm not doing this. So needless to say, I lost the baby in Puerto Rico. Something went wrong. And I was like, wow. So here now I am in this hospital by myself. It's already a disaster. People in the hospitals on the floor.
Electricity.
No, it was crazy. Generators galore. And I'm like making this sacrifice to rise up, and all this stuff is happening around me. And I was like, you know what? I'm doing this. I'm going to do it. And it was very hard. I remember talking to Fatima every week, and she's coaching me. And I just got on the phone one day, like, I can't do this. I'll cry in a minute, y'all.
Yeah.
And it was it. And I set a date. I had a calendar. It had all these dates. And I had my daughter help me design it. We used to put smiley face stickers counting down the days. And I had like a month or two left. And I said, I can't do it no more. I'm just gonna put the letter in. And my husband's like, you said July. I said, I don't care. That 2 months ain't going.
I'm not gonna make it.
That's your leave.
And I left. And it was scary because, again, I had some money saved up. Tax season just happened. It was an emotional decision. And I always say, for one, have a plan in place. Not that I didn't have a plan, but I had a business that I've been growing for, over the past 17 years at that time. So it wasn't new to me. Like, what am I going to do?
Right.
Who are my customers going to be? But for someone who really looking to transfer from their 9 to 5, and I'm sure they have their 9 to 5, 5 to 9. If you want to get rid of the 9 to 5, have a plan. Look at your numbers. Look at, where it is that you're trying to go. How much do you need to cover your life expenses? And I always say 3 times that.
Yes.
So that you can have a cushion. So you're just not out here like scared and trying to make ends meet. And another thing I would say, my fear was medical insurance. That was the big thing. Oh, I got to have good medical and all this stuff. And that was the least of my worries. I was able to find medical insurance, and so it's like, check that off the list.
Yeah.
Now what's the problem?
Right.
You can remove the letter.
So what's left?
What's left?
Yeah. So that's what got me there. So the first few months, I would definitely say for me, it was breaking down the 9 to 5 mindset, because it's almost like you're wired, whether you know it or not. You go to your job, you have this routine, you're used to, whatever position you are, you play this role.
Right.
And for me, I work. So when I work, I did work. And when I didn't work, I didn't work. But when I work, I did. But I knew I had to be on that computer all day, on that, just checking the box to make sure I'm lit up. And just breaking that away, like, Alexis, you can go to the gym. You don't have to sit here all day.
Right.
Alexis, you can structure your day.
Yeah.
Alexis, you don't have to work from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. nonstop. You can get up and go do something.
Yeah.
And so it was that mindset of really shifting. And it took a long time. And I talked with other entrepreneurs who did this journey as well. And that was one thing that they mentioned, was the mindset shift. It's real. And it was challenging for me. And so I think I'm just getting there, like, over a year, where it's really okay. And I'm really accepting, like, I don't have to work. Because that was another thing. I found like I was working even harder. And I'm like, wait a minute. Some days I just need to go get my job back. Because
this is too much.
Yeah, it was just like, this is too much. And so just really making those adjustments and setting boundaries, because again, even with family and friends, I'm an accountant, and I'm thankful my family and friends want to support me, but sometimes they can be the worst customers because they know how to reach you personally.
Oh yeah, there's no boundary.
And so you really had to start setting boundaries for myself and really sticking with them. Like today I got a call from someone, 7 a.m. and I'm like, wait a minute now. And I didn't respond. I was up, but I'm not responding until it's business hours. But then I'm going to direct them to the proper channels because I have a process in place and you have to respect it and follow it, or you don't work with me. And just really learning and growing for myself. It got tricky for me because I never had to manage people. I always managed the process. And I started growing my team and bringing people on board. And it was like, oh my gosh, now I'm being that micromanager that I hated.
Yeah.
And so it's just really like growing into the space, and that's where I'm at right now. It's just really growing and scaling and just making sure I'm building a team of people who can truly support me so I can really get to the next level and continue on this journey of entrepreneurship. So yeah, that's what really stuck out for me as we go through it. I think another thing, you have to know what you want to do, because I'm a creative. I had at one point 4 businesses.
Oh,
Yes, I'm a serial entrepreneur phase.
Oh,
I used to
goodness.
label myself, I'm a serial entrepreneur. And then as I started focusing on like, what is the one thing that I can do? And my coach made me read this book, The One Thing by Gary Keller. And I read it and I was like, okay, now Alexis, you got to focus on one thing. Let's just try it. And I started, no, I can't do that design project. No, I can't, because I was making t-shirts, anything digital, I was making it. And I was like, no, it's just accounting, I'm sorry. But just really honing in on that and perfecting it. And that's really helped me as well, because a lot of times we get that scarcity mindset and we're like, oh, I got to get every customer I can get because I don't know when the next one is coming. But if you have things in place, if you focus on that one thing, if you focus on the clients who are your target, you'll have abundance. You don't have to feel like you just got to take any and everything, because all money is not good money.
Amen.
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 And that
One
was
more time.
People in the
all
back.
money is
Yeah.
not good
Yeah.
money. And
Yes,
I have
No, it's a
heard
complete
that.
sentence as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so just really, like I said, a lot for me was just really defining who I am as a CEO, because I'm no longer an employee, I'm a CEO, and developing that mindset shift from 9 to 5 to CEO mindset. And I'm just really setting boundaries, making sure that I'm intentional about my spending, and I'm not just, out here doing whatever, make some cuts here and there. I may not go, haven't brought myself a purse in a minute. But I'm gonna get there though. But just making those sacrifices so that I'm comfortable financially and I'm able to sustain and just really continue to invest into my business and continue to grow and take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Woo, I know. Like, thanks for sharing all of that.
It is a lot.
As I was listening to you, it reminded me of, I teach this course, and it's about anti-racism, but we work on the cycle of socialization and moving from socialization to liberation. And so the piece that we're talking about, we are socialized to think that we have to work. That's not just because we didn't know any better as Black women, as Black people. We were built for survival, and that is ingrained in us. And if you think of something simple like food, for example, how hard is it to stop eating or change your eating habits because every Sunday your grandmama made biscuits?
That's what you want to
You gonna eat
do.
those biscuits.
Right.
So it's embedded the same way. Those issues of survival. Our parents do want the best for us. They know, they're teaching from their experiences, and that's all that they know. So it's about being liberated in this. And yes, it's a mindset shift, but you also have to let go of some things first before you can move forward. And just in the world, the entrepreneurial movement is so amazing because it is one way that Black women are getting liberated. You know, we're the fastest growing population of business owners, and we're doing it for ourselves. And so I just heard all of that come through in your story. But then we gotta get to these people, right?
So yes. And
it's
funny that you said what you said though, Fatima, because I pulled the same thing from what you were saying. Because there's something, and let's take it to the audience, right? There's a lot of people watch TikToks and Reels all day. But there's one that I keep seeing that stands out to me the most is I quit my 9 to 5 because I was tired of working so much and started my own business. And now look at me, I'm working 24/7, right? So I think that's a part of it that people forget about is like, no, like if you don't work, this check isn't coming. And people management. So part of my day-to-day job is people. Because of program management, you have to be able to collaborate and reach across the aisles and, cross collaboration is the name of the game. And when you are a manager, that's completely different. You need to make sure you can get your job done. And that only happens if your staff is doing that work. So how do you find that middle ground between micromanagement? Because again, I hated that as well, where
did you
find that? You know what? That's a good question. Or are you still finding it?
Is this an active process?
Do they need to, chat you? Are they working remotely, or they come into the office and you have to see them? Or if they're late, is there a write-up process?
It's funny that you asked that.
Uh-oh.
Because, you know, all of that stuff has to be developed because I'm not just a solopreneur now. I
Right.
have a team. So before it was fine. I can, the one-man show doing everything.
Whenever you want.
But yeah, it's so funny because I do have a staff and the job can be done remotely, but they have to come to the office every day, even if I'm working from home or not.
The tea is coming. Okay.
Yeah, like, it has to be, and I have to step up because I can become that, oh, I'm just cool, laid back. And by
take advantage.
natural, I'm that person. And I started seeing like, oh yeah, go ahead and work from home. Then it became, oh, can I work from home these 3 days? No.
That don't sound like you're gonna be right.
So
They getting their hair done. On
Bring
vacation.
it right before the
You know.
Because it's yours. You know, the stakes are so much higher. And so it's like you feel like this is your baby, and they like RuPaul says, they better not F it up. You know what I mean? It looks like we're like, but don't F it up. And maybe that's where it's coming from. Not that you just are a micromanager, but you have so much invested in this, and you want it. It's like a no fail almost.
Well, it is. It is, and it's great that you said that because it is my baby. And I was saying that to myself today. I was working with my social media person. And I'm just going through the designs, and I know how to design, of course, but I said, I don't need to design. And she sent the graphics. I'm like, send me the edit. I'm editing this. This is not me. This is not how I want to be represented. And so a lot of times, yes, I find like you kind of shift into the micromanagement because this is your baby.
Yeah.
And it has to be the way you want it to be and not what, you know, they may not see your vision and you may have to work with them. So I'm learning to take a step back and not just, I'll call the team in a minute, like, girl, event session, but really take the experience and say, okay, how can I get better from this? Did I do everything I could to prevent me from the micromanagement? Did I teach the person the proper way? I'm learning to use different learning styles and really identify, you know, those disassessments and all that stuff we learn in school and learning behaviors and styles and really using that. I didn't think I would ever need to, but really using that to make sure that, you know, I'm doing everything I can on the forefront. And then if I have to micromanage, then there's a problem. And then that means like, we may need to part ways. So that's really where I'm going now. And the whole thing of performance reviews, like, I was just like, I really had to
hate those.
Now people have expectations of you as an employer.
Yeah.
And you have to show up.
Yeah, so it's just a whole new arena that I just never thought I would step into. And I think for me, you know, I still wear many roles. I don't have an HR person. So I guess as I grow, I can keep that person. I don't have to fulfill that function. But for right now, it's more high level where I have to do a bit of this. I have to do a bit of that. And I just have to make sure it all gels together. And again, it's still fresh and new. Like I was sharing with my husband, like, yes, I've had this business for 18 years, but I've never ran it in this capacity. I never had to, like, this is it. I have to depend on this. And, you know, so it's just really a different way. And it's really the first year of full-fledged entrepreneurship for me. Like I said, I've been doing it. So I'm excited. Sometimes I say I want to quit and go back, but I'm not going to go fire yourself. But I'm going to keep pushing forward. But I did set a boundary with myself, and I had to be realistic. If I didn't see this result by this time, then I had to reevaluate to see, because at the same time, I do have a family and I have small kids and they have needs. And this is me. Like, I'm not the type to say, oh, I'm leaving this business to my kids. My kids may not want nothing to do with accounting.
They may not, you know.
But it'll be an evaluation that they can sell.
Right. I'm setting you up to have something.
There'll be something there. Absolutely.
So I'm curious too, right? So I've been seeing a lot of articles about the school to 9-to-5 pipeline. I guess is how we could frame that, right? So the whole idea behind it is we are taught to go to school every day, this time to this time, you do work, you learn how to deal with others and play nice, and everyone has their role. There might be the door holder and et cetera, right?
Yeah,
so there's
line leader.
everyone has their position, right? And then you graduate, you're taught to get that job, to your point earlier. And so I'm wondering if that's why so many people just gravitate to 9 to 5. It could also be geographical reasons. So I graduated school in Tallahassee, and if you work in the capital of Florida, you go and you work for the state because that is the biggest employer in the, in that region. And so people come from South Georgia, and that's kind of the role you take, not because you would rather do something else, but you're trying to find a job to survive. And if you're someone, maybe personality types, function into that too. So I'm a very structured person. So if I know that I need to work this time to this time, that works. And I'm okay with that. But I've also started my own little business because I'm like, this doesn't work for me. And I need to have my own creative freedom. And et cetera. But I also feel like there's just so many confounding factors because COVID happened. So now I work from home. And now I don't need to work 9 to 5. And maybe that means I'm working 9 to 12 and I might take a 2-hour lunch to go run errands, but I'm also working longer and later because I'm at home. So I feel like all of this kind of comes into play. And so I'm just curious from all of you, if you think school kind of sets us up for that, or if it's a personality type, or what do you think kind of pushes people a certain way, or they try it and decide that's not really for me. I'm going to be an entrepreneur and just, grind and get to the position.
It's generational, right? I think we did grow up in an idea where, and even for people who do go to college, there's still this energy, this sort of culture now of embracing entrepreneurship. And I think like when we were sort of going through college, there was an expectation that you get a degree to get a job. And now I think some people are seeing like college as an experience, right? I want to go to college, have that experience. But even in college, I have a business. I mean, I just see so many people on Instagram, they're in college, but they knocking on the door with my salary. I'm like, can I get a job? Right? Like, so there's that whole energy, I think, in culture of entrepreneurship that is just so present now that we grew up in the era of you're supposed to have a job. Because you need to start with the 401k, like you start early planning for retirement.
30 years, what are you doing?
Really? And I just think that it's just a change of times. I think it's a change of generations where it's more acceptable now. It's more encouraged now. And people see it being reasonable, like feasible. Like before it was like you're jumping out on a ledge, but I could really be doing this because there's a lot of not just opportunity, but a lot of the customer base is huge, right? People they could get the same thing from multiple people, and you could be one of them, you know? So I do think it's just a bit of a change in times as well.
I think it's not just the financial aspect. I believe that there is a place for everybody at work. I'm not anti-work.
I'm not either.
I believe in 9 to 5, and especially coming out of college, because now we have generations where they have forgotten or maybe have not ever learned how to interact with people properly. So I do think that there is a place for everyone to have some sort of job or career at some point. I think what we're getting at is you don't have to stay your whole life there. And as you do hone your skills, as you do get better, you start to, dust your shoulders off a little bit and say, hey, I've outgrown this. I can do better on my own because I now have a skill. I now have something to offer. And I think in a corporate type of environment that happens. Now, if you're an innovator, it's a little different. You're in your kitchen, you're cooking something up, and it's the next big thing. But especially for corporate government, public administration that we're all in, I think there is a place for work, and you tend to just come into your own at some point. And that's such a beautiful thing when you get there. I also think, to your point, Sean, that you can see it a little more now. And that goes to what we were saying about mentoring and modeling. There weren't that many examples, particularly of Black women who had broken away, who were entrepreneurs and who were doing that. But you can actually see it now, thanks to social media, whether you know them or not. you have access in a different way. You have models where you can, there's a blueprint for success.
You can emulate that now.
Mhm.
And people are sharing more, right?
Yes.
So we're on podcasts, we're doing blogs,
Yes.
we're doing interviews, we're making it on magazines now, and we're sharing and creating courses to say, this is how I did this, and you can too.
Yeah, and people definitely are coaching as well, where they want to show you. So it's easy. So it's like, shame on you if you don't go, if you want to do something and you have that dream, like the resources are there. People are willing to, whether you pay for it or it's free.
It's out there.
It's out there. So it's like, go get it. But I do agree with everything you all said. I for myself, just being in the accounting space, I'm starting to see a lot of self-employed and just with the taxes and things.
Absolutely.
So there's definitely a shift with people and how we're, looking at entrepreneurship. The Uber driver, that's a gig worker. They're considered self-employed. That is a business. So it's definitely a shift there. And for myself, I think like our generation, my parents' generation, they go to work and they stay there for 30 years. My mom's been on her job and still there. So I look at her and I'm like, I don't think I'll do anything.
That long.
We gotta give our parents credit too, because each generation helps catapult the next. It's taking us a shorter amount of time to do things because it took them a longer amount of time. So that's important and it's necessary for us to get where we are. But I think the conversation about coaching and mentoring and people sharing just goes to what we've been talking about already, and the importance of community and how we're really recognizing that we're stronger together and we can do more and go faster and go farther together than we can apart. So I think that we're on to something just by actually sitting here and having this conversation. We're like exemplifying the way the world is going.
And I wondered if Alexis could talk a little bit more about, because you mentioned before about like calling Fatima and venting, and so I just wanted to know if you could talk a little bit more about like what does that support system look like for you, because sometimes it's built in when you have a job and somebody else is with you and you're like, girl, these people are going crazy today, but that's kind of something you have to manage when you are now the leader of a staff. You can't necessarily vent with them the same way you can, right? You want them to stay invested in the business, not be afraid that it's going down, right? But then there's that line of whether it's appropriate. And so I just wonder if you could talk a little bit more about like, what does your support system, what does your tribe, your space look like for that?
Yeah, so I have an amazing tribe, and I had to learn to accept that I need help. We all need help. Because for so many years, and I can't go back and change the past, I was one by myself. I didn't have no coach. I didn't have anything. And I look back now and I'm like, dang, I wonder if I would be somewhere else or further along, or, we all have our level of what we define success as. If I had the right people and not just thinking, oh, I know how to do it, I'll figure it out. But right now, I do have coaches. I pay for them. I stay connected with different mastermind communities where it's filled with people who are definitely more skilled, more advanced than me. Sometimes I'm in some of them, I'm like, I don't know what these people are talking about, but I know I need to be here
right now and get back to myself on the later.
And it's an uncomfortable space, but within those spaces, you grow, you learn. You have people you can bounce ideas off of. I had one that's so funny. I was working on something and I'm trying to step into a new lane with some services that I'm offering. And I know how to do it, but it's just, believing in myself that I can do it. And like you said, when you're on a 9-to-5, you go get training, they'll coach you, somebody will show you the ropes. But as you have to kind of figure it out and learn it. And she said, I'm giving you homework. And I was like, and she really followed up with me. And I was like,
Oh,
okay.
Did I get an A?
Yeah, I needed that. But you need those type of people in your life, and you have to be humble enough to, you know, be willing to accept it. So my community and tribe, again, I have other professionals in the accounting space that I connect with because they're not competition. You know, I had to learn like what's for me is for me, and you're not a competitor. Like, you know, so we can, you know, cut that away, and now we can be able to support people. So I have a team of other tax professionals, and they'll call me and they're like, girl, I just need to vent, or I need to ask you a question. I really don't know. And it's okay. It's a safe space where it's not like we're judging each other. It's like, girl, you don't need to be doing taxes if you don't know that. But that's what works for me, because again, leadership can be a lonely place. Again, and I have to, you know, for myself, my husband is so funny. He said, you don't go to lunch with your employees, y'all don't just go. I said, no, I don't, because we're not friends. And I'm not being the mean one, but I'm just setting the boundaries, because again, you have to keep things in place so that the engine continues to run. And maybe again, as I grow and scale, it'll be different. You know, if I'm just the one, hey, everybody, I could be that CEO that I'm not really doing work. I'm just there.
Put your hand
You're the figurehead.
I can say, hey, let's lunch today, or let's go here. Just, you know, come on. But I can't do that right now. So yeah, my tribe, again, they're amazing. And I just feel that people really need, if you're going to be in entrepreneurship, just get you different groups of people, get a coach, make sure your coach has a coach. Make sure that you're coachable, because that was another thing. I felt like I needed every coach in the world once I decided I was taking this, and I have shiny object syndrome. I'll be the first to admit I want it. Yeah, I need that. I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna, you know, make it happen. And it's a thing, and me and the team have talked about this, where you're consuming. And I felt like at one point I was just so eager to make this dream happen. I was consuming. And it's like, okay, when are you going to execute?
Yes.
There's only so many training classes and webinars and
now you must
conferences.
do.
So I'm gonna recommend a book, and I'll put it in the show notes. It's called Start Ghetto. Because
I wasn't prepared for that.
Not at all.
Her name is Letitia O. But the idea is you have to just get started. And we talked about mindset shift. We talk about just doing it, but we don't want to devalue how difficult that is, or what other factors may be going into not being able to do that. But the Start Ghetto philosophy is about just doing it from where you are and giving it a chance. And there's another quote, I don't remember who said it, but it's like, the entrepreneur or the expert has failed more times than the beginner has even tried, because wisdom comes with experience. You have to try it before you can know what you like, what you don't like, before you can learn who you are about yourself. So it doesn't have to be beautiful. It took Alexis, 16 years to do it, and we can sit here and we're celebrating it, but that's not the same as saying that it's easy. And I think social media tends to glorify that.
They show the
that's
positive.
not what we're saying.
I think giving yourself grace is like the newest thing that everyone is really realizing and embracing, and me myself personally, learning how to give myself a little bit of grace and understanding I will fail too. And it is okay to share with people like your testimony to say, I definitely have failed at numerous things, right? Because people just look at me and see the shiny part. They say, oh, she got her PhD, she's working with a great company, she's traveling. And I'm like, no, but do you see me when I was up at night coding after work from 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. weeks on end? You didn't see that part. And you didn't see the part when I had to start over a whole chapter of a dissertation. And you didn't see the part. The committee was acting up. That's a whole nother session, and you didn't see the D's that I got in class. I wasn't always straight A. I got to college and I was out here having fun. I was like, oh, there's nobody holding me accountable. My professor doesn't even care if I'm in class today. Oops, I missed an assignment. I missed an assignment. But giving yourself grace to say, you don't know all the answers. You don't know everything you need to start your business, but there are resources. You can find it. You might not execute the proper way, but you can get there. And I think you shared a lot of your pros and cons and lessons.
It's all good, girl.
Lessons. It's been a very long day. All your lessons that you have learned, but is there anything that you wanted to highlight or share that you think is a good like takeaway message for us?
Yeah, I think one thing that is just jumping into my head that I would like to share is that, for one, entrepreneurship is not for everyone.
Yeah.
Very true.
And
Agreed.
it's okay. I had to take a step back because I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I saw people and my friends, and I'm like, you got so much talent. You don't need to be on that job. You don't need to do that. And I found myself getting frustrated with them, like, girl, quit. Like, go do your own thing. And they're like, no, I'm good with my job.
Yes.
I'm okay.
Yes.
And so I had to learn that it's okay. You know, some people want to work. That's everybody's not built for it. Everybody doesn't want the responsibility, and that's fine. But if you are in that space, just really don't try to do it yourself. Get you some help. I always tell people, business owners, especially for the accounting side, because I see some messes, go get you a consultation with a professional so that you can know how it's going to impact you financially, and so that you can set the proper systems in place, because I see it too much where people are just randomly doing stuff. They don't know what they're doing. They have 9-to-5 jobs and they have a business and they're not taking taxes out. And then it's a surprise when it's tax time. It's like, what? And I'm like,
that was mine.
That bill is real and they want their money.
It's real. And so I just say, like, just really don't think you can do it on your own. Get some help. Get the resources that you need so you can set yourself up and be intentional about it. You know, I had a whole 16, 17, 18 years of experiences and I was young. But right now, you know, I'm intentional about, I don't have time to figure it out, you know. So if I know somebody has traveled this road, they have the experience, they know it, I'm going to them to get the help that I need so that I don't have to go down the road of trying to figure it out or let's see what happens or guessing. So that's just one thing that's on my heart to share. But definitely, if you want to transition, just have a plan in place and, you know, set up a plan, set some boundaries, set some goals, figure out what it looks like versus being a 9-to-5 or being a full-time entrepreneur, and just really getting the financial part in place. So that you can make a comfortable transition and just make it happen. You can do it. And that's what you want to do.
Thank you for joining us. Hope you had fun.
I did. This is awesome.
We appreciate it.
So we will definitely let the audience know how to connect with you. We'll put that information in the show notes because we need to have more of these conversations. We want people to come to you as they get started so they won't have to come to you afterwards after they messed up. They have to get it straightened out. But we appreciate your time today. And you are now a part of the 10K community.